Hello, and welcome to Mrs. Cullen's COVIdeo guide to parts of a short story. This is part 1, plot.
Quick refresh. These are the parts of a short story that you need to know. There's plot, characterization, conflict, mood, symbolism, point of view, irony, satire, and theme.
The definition of plot is the main events of a story presented by the author in an interrelated sequence. In literary studies, there are 6 components of plot you need to know. They can be found on Freytag's plot diagram. At the beginning of every story, and at the beginning of our plot diagram, you'll find the introduction, which is sometimes called exposition. Here is the indication of setting, which is the time and place of the story. We also introduce main characters, and it fills in any necessary background information the reader needs to know before they read. Next is the initiating incident. It introduces the major conflict of the story and disrupts the character's regular life in some sort of way. It's the incident that also starts the rising action in the story. Next on our diagram is the rising action. This is a succession of steps or incidents that presents the protagonist with a crisis or obstacle, which eventually leads to the final crisis, which is called the climax. The rising action takes up the majority of the plot, and when you're reading a story, most of the story will be the rising action. The apex, or the top of our diagram, is represented by the climax. This is the moment of major crisis in the story. It's so stressful and so tense that it has to be resolved immediately. It's also known as the highest point of tension in the story. After the climax is the falling action. This is the events that take place between the climax and the resolution of the story. Here you'll find things that wrap up the narrative after the immediate solution of the climax. The final part of our diagram is called the resolution, or sometimes called the denouement. This is our final part of the story, and it explains how matters are resolved. It also may add information to let readers know what may happen afterwards to the main characters now that the story is complete. For the last bit of the video, let's do some practice. Pause the video here. Choose a film or TV episode that you've been binge watching during our self-isolation period. On a piece of paper, practice identifying all 6 steps of the plot diagram found in that show. Draw a visual diagram if you find it helpful. Finally, if you need one more example, this is Mrs. Cullen's example for the first Harry Potter film.